All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. And this is going to be a video on the new covenant, and hopefully, if Yahweh deals with me to make me do it, I'm going to do more than one video of this type, going into how there's many parts to the new covenant, because a lot of people, when they hear about the new covenant, it's just something that a lot of people say, but they don't actually understand what it was. And in this first video, right, hopefully I'll be able to just show in the scriptures a few parts by where I personally believe that the scriptures are talking about the new covenant. Now, two of them that I'm going to read are clear that what the new covenant is, but some other parts in the scriptures it's speaking about the new covenant, but it might not necessarily say the words new covenant. So here's the first place that I'm going to go to. This is Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made. So let me mention on that point. When you read about what the new covenant is, it lets you know who it's for also, right? When you go to Jeremiah the 31st chapter, and when you go to Hebrews the 8th chapter, it lets you know who the new covenant's for, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. It never speaks about this being for everybody, right? Verse 32, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahweh, because the Israelites did break the old covenant, right? But this shall be the covenant that I make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. After what days? After all the days that were necessary to make every single prophecy that was predestined to happen on the earth take place. After every single prophecy has been fulfilled, these prophecies will also be one of those prophecies that's fulfilled after all of the days where Israel has to go through the punishment because of the breaking of the covenant, right? After those days, saith Yahweh, I'll put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. So that's what the new covenant is. The new covenant is the ability to perfectly keep all of God's laws, right? That's the simplified version. That's the most simplified version. And what I personally can say what the new covenant is, the ability, being given the ability to perfectly keep God's laws. Now, there's things that's going to take place to make that happen, right? And that's why I'm doing this, trying to do this group of videos, that if Lord will, if I'm able to do them, and how there's many parts to the new covenant. Because just saying that you're gonna be able to keep all of God's laws is all well and good, but how are you gonna be able to? Why are you gonna be able to? Right? And the simplified way how I can say quickly in this video is that the Israelites are going to be changed. They're going to be given a new body that allows them to keep the laws perfectly, right? It's going to be a precocial thing, just like how animals are born being able to walk. The Israelites are going to be born being able to keep all of God's laws, right? And that's going to be a thing that specifically is only given to an Israelite, which is going to separate the Israelites from every other nation. Because in the kingdom of heaven, all nations are going to be made to keep God's laws. The Israelites are going to keep them naturally, automatically. The heathen are going to have to keep them manually, right? The old covenant was manual that the Israelites was given. But I guess you can say this is the first time I've ever said this on a video. The old covenant was manual, right, in terms of how you had to keep the law. But the new covenant is going to be automatic. And I'm reading it. Hebrews chapter 8, and I'll start from verse 7. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh. And this is one of the points that Christianity tries to mention all the time, that the Israelites were under the first covenant, but they did things wrong. And yet, that's what Yahweh clearly points out, that the fault of the old covenant was. It was the Israelites. And yet the Israelites are still the people that the new one's going to be made with. but they're going to be changed and given the ability to automatically keep all of God's laws. Verse 8, but find a fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahweh. For this is the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I will put my laws in their inward parts and write them in their hearts, and I'll be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. So the Israelites are going to be given the ability to perfectly keep all of God's laws. And let me read verse 11 as well. Let me add that into this lesson. Verse 11, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know Yahweh, for they shall all know me from the least to the greatest. Because if every single individual Israelite can automatically keep God's laws, there'll be no need. There'll no longer be a need for teachers among Israel, because there's not going to be one law that another Israelite can keep perfectly, but another Israelite can't keep. So he has to be warned not to do this or not to do that by his fellow Israelite brother or even sister, right? The mom's not going to have to teach the children about the law. The husband's not going to have to teach the wife about the law. And Yahweh Shai is no longer after, and Yahweh is no longer have to punish or warn the Israelites to keep the law. There's no longer going to be hypocrisy among Israelites or wicked Pharisees, scribes and Pharisees among the Israelites, because every single Israelite is going to equally all be righteous in terms of keeping the law. This is Jeremiah chapter 32 and verse 40. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away. In fact, let me go verse 39. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their children after them. And that's Jeremiah chapter 32 and verse 39. And I'll read it again. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their children after them. Now that's talking about the new covenant. Verse 40, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. The fear is going to be what's going to make the Israelites keep all of the law, right? Because when you consider what the main two foundational things are of the law, wasn't the first one to love Yahweh with all your heart and with all your soul? Loving Yahweh with all your heart and with all your soul is also fearing him. Right now, let me go to another place that I think that is speaking about the new covenant, right? Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 6, and Yahweh with thy power will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live, right? The circumcision of the heart, the changing of the heart, the changing of the mind is part of the new covenant. That's one of the actual ways how the Israelites are going to be able to do the right thing, because our minds right now are not keeping all the laws. Now, some people will claim that they are, but that's like them saying that which this is another part to the new covenant. That's like them saying that they're immortal right now, which being immortal is a part of the new covenant. And I'm just going to say a few parts of the new covenant, things that are involved in being under the new covenant right now, in case I don't ever end up making them other videos, right? One of them is in being immortal, meaning you're free from death. Another is having an everlasting kingdom, right? Another one is being blessed continually and never cursed, right? Having a proper brotherhood, the Israelite woman actually being righteous again and beautiful, all of them, right? Having a proper brotherhood, a proper community, not having to go to your enemy for the want of all things, right? Being the top nation on the earth instead of the bottom nation, no longer having to deal with adultery in the world, no longer having to deal with false witness in the world, having your society and your community free from crime, right? No longer having to cry sorrow, you know what I mean? Having financial stability without fear of it being taken away from you or stolen. Because if I say just having financial stability, some people in this world right now will think that they've got financial stability, and some of them would be correct. But they wouldn't be correct about without fear of losing it though. Because in this world, even if you do have money, there's always that fear that you can lose it. Whereas in the kingdom of heaven, that fear is not going to be there, right? So I had to just make that point clear. Let me go to this. Ezekiel chapter 36, and I think it's verse 27, but it might be a bit up or below. Okay, it's 26. Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 26. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit I will put and a new spirit will I, let me read it again. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh, and I'll put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. So again, that's the new covenant. Now, it doesn't necessarily say it's the new covenant, but it is though, right? Because the new covenant is the ability to keep Yahweh's laws, his ways, his statutes, his judgments, and do them, right? To keep everything that Yahweh said. That's what the new covenant ultimately is, right? But yet, just saying that is not enough to let people know that it's not something that's for everyone. That comes with a lot of other things attached to it, right? Immortality, like I mentioned, and all of the blessings that it mentions in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. But it's not just such a, like, Christianity is too basic with how they like to mention the new covenant. They just say we're under the new covenant now, but they don't even know what the new covenant is if you ask them. They won't go to Hebrews the 8th chapter. And if they do go to Hebrews the 8th chapter, for those that do try and go there, they will lie about who the new covenant's for when it clearly mentions that it's for the house of Israel and the house of Judah. But they'll then say, oh, that's spiritual Israel. Oh, that's for those that's one inwardly. But yet, when you're talking all this inward stuff, then how do you decide who's it for those that they claim the Jew inwardly? How do you decide if he's part of the house of Israel or the house of Judah then? And that's where the lie starts to fall apart. Whereas in our doctrine, it's clear. We have a clear answer, but their answer don't make sense. Just like how it doesn't make sense when people try and say that Abraham's the father of everyone. Oh, Abraham's the father of us all. No, he's not. He's literally not the father of everyone. Just like how Israel is not the forefather of everyone. And that's why people are trying to say that, oh, now it's about being a Jew inwardly. Israel was not the forefather to everyone. He had a brother called Esau that's got his own descendants. And they are there. And even this is kind of off topic as well, but some people always try and say, oh, that everyone's gonna receive the promised land, as if they don't understand that the promised land was promised to the children of Israel. And since I'm in this chapter, I'll read it. Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 24. For I will take you from among the heathen, meaning that the heathen ain't going with them, and gather you out of all countries, meaning that the Israelites are going to be gathered from every single place that they are, and I'll bring you into your own land, right? The promised land goes to the children of the promise. The children of the promise are the Israelites. But that's not the only promise. It's not just the land that there was promised. It's also the covenant that there was promised, right? It's also the being free from death that the Israelites was promised. You don't believe me? I'll read it quickly. And this is why I didn't really want to. I could do this in one video, right? More than likely, if the spirit was on me, I could do this in one video. But I don't want to, because then people might not, their attention span might not hear it. So I'm gonna just read this one, right? And maybe I'm just gonna read this one. Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 19. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. Now, which people is that? It's the Israelites. And the voice of weeping shall no more be heard in her, nor the voice of crying, right? The Israelites are going to be free from sorrow, from crying, from tears of sorrow. There'll be tears of joy, but there ain't going to be no crying and mourning for how the state of your people is. And that's why when all these people are complaining about saying that everyone's gone through captivity at one point in time or another, everyone, like even some of these people are so bold to say that everyone's under the curses. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You could hear it as you got people that can just decide out of the blue that we're gonna get 500 billion of funding for AI, but everyone's under the curses. They can just come up with 500 billion for AI, to fund AI, but we are all under the curses. We can't come up with 500 billion to fund anything in our community. We ain't doing that. Like, I don't know if in the UK, all the Jakes in the UK combined wealth would be 500 billion. I don't think it would be. I don't think so. And I don't think it would even be 500 billion among most of the Jakes in America. That they'd even have 500 billion, and that would be the richest Jakes. I don't think they'd have 500 billion to combine together to fund anything. Like, some of the richest Jakes in America, they'd be celebrities, right? They might have a 4 billion, 2, 1, you know what I mean? But they wouldn't have 500 billion combined between them. I don't believe that. But yet everyone's under the curses. Well, how come some people can do that and we can't then? Surely there'd have to be somebody that's not under the curses, that's the oppressor of the whole thing. And there is. The so-called white man's the top of everything right now, right? And the so-called black man, Latino man, and Native American man is the bottom of the pack financially, but they're the top of the pack in wisdom and in righteousness and in being able to judge and assess situations properly. And that's why when it comes to the other things in this world where people are talking about what's going on in the world, like for the red pill community thing, for example, it's mainly the so-called black man that's the top of that. They're the main people that everyone gets their talking points from, man. Like, one of the main people that talks all that red pill stuff, really, he's not even one of the most popular ones, but he's one of the ones that seems to have the knowledge of that stuff most down pat, is a guy called AMS. Right? Kevin Samuels was the top one, but a guy called AMS, he goes in with some of that stuff. He don't even really regurgitate some of the points that some of these other people make. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, this is one of the first videos in this group of videos that I'm hoping to try and do about how there's many parts to the new covenant. And the first thing that I thought to mention is that the new covenant is the ability to keep all of God's laws perfectly without having to be told so by anybody else, and without ever having a chance to break them. You'll perfectly keep all of God's laws all the time, 100%, and it will be an automatic feature within you. Shalom.